I know you know this, but we're going to see more technological change in the next 10, maybe the next 5 years than we've seen in the last 50 years. And that's a fact. And the most consequential technology of our time, artificial intelligence, is accelerating that change. It's going to accelerate it at warp speed.
Yep, that's the president addressing AI. The magical technology that's powering everything like Refusion, which uses stable diffusion to crank out song bites about anything. Like this emo take on unaffordable housing in America.
Mortgage rates are trending well above 8%.
To well-known favorites like ChatGPT, which, after several attempts, did crank out a usable recipe for a savory turkey, bacon, and chocolate-stuffed rye bread. I'll put the recipe in the description, tell me how it goes. But just because the public has unfettered access to silicon-based song and recipe generators, doesn't mean this stuff doesn't need rules. And not just the types that prevent us from ruining dinner.
I'm about to sign an executive order that is the most significant action any government anywhere in the world has ever taken on AI safety, security, and trust.
That's a serious statement, but it rings true because powerful tech, like artificial intelligence, needs to be trustworthy and helpful, like a Google search, and not deceitful and destructive, like a Quora search. Here's the head of OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, speaking to Congress earlier this spring.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. It's a big part of why I'm here today.
Even Elon Musk, the guy who bought Twitter and turned it into a single letter jam-packed with hate speech and disinformation, has been warning about the risks to society posed by, not himself, but AI.
There is some chance that above zero that AI will kill us all. I think it's low, but there's some chance. I think we should also consider the fragility of human civilization. And if you study history, I think you realize that there's a rise and fall to every civilization. Every civilization has sort of a lifespan.
This week in the UK, the British Prime Minister is hosting a 2-day summit that's actually taking a look at some of today's most cutting-edge AI. No, not whatever app Peter Jackson used to help recreate Now and Then, the so-called last new Beatles song that the late George Harrison himself once called rubbish. I'm talking about frontier AI, which uses algorithms trained on a ton of information scraped from the internet for a highly general base of knowledge. Here's a computer science professor.
Yeah, so frontier AI is really the most powerful models out there, things like GPT-4. And there's really a qualitative difference between that and what we had before, in that you can just have conversations with it about sort of anything, any type of topic. And yeah, this causes a lot of potential applications. It enables us to do a lot of really cool things, but it also enables risks. And so especially these most powerful models trained on billion-dollar compute, these are the ones where we need to really worry about potential risks and also take steps to regulate them.
I'm going to go over and sign that.
That need to regulate AI is why the president walked over to that tiny desk to put his signature on that executive order. It does several things, but here are two of its main components. First, under the Defense Production Act, leading AI developers will be required to share safety test results and other important info with the government, and the National Institute of Standards and Technology will create standards to make sure AI tools are safe and secure before they're released to the general public. Second, the Commerce Department will also put out a guidance to help label and watermark AI-generated content, to help differentiate between authenticated content and things generated by software, which will hopefully play a role in managing deepfakes. Now, the USA isn't alone in trying to tackle this stuff. The European Union is currently working on its own comprehensive AI law. And even though Biden's actions are a first step towards reining in a powerful new technology, even he notes that this might not be enough.
We'll continue to work closely with allies and partners, including the United Nations, the G7, which just set out the first ever international code of conduct to safely guide AI development. This executive order represents bold action, but we still need Congress to act. We need Congress to act.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. An executive order has the effect of a law, but it can be undone if a new executive takes office. Which is why additional action from Congress, as well as cooperation with international partners, will be needed to make regulations and controls on this technology more permanent. Some, like that computer science professor from before, notes that the regulation of emerging technologies like AI needs to be done with care. Not because we're going to make Sydney start to hate us, but because it has the potential to stifle innovation. Because who doesn't want to live in this world this guy's laying out?
There is this possibility, where will we be in 1,000 years? Will we have this utopia world for humankind, or will we sort of have the opposite? We're probably not going to be in a very similar situation to today. And there is going to be rapid change, and we need to anticipate that rapid change and talk about, where do we want to be, bring ethicists on board, bring lawyers on board, and really talk about this without always having the first thing that we talk about the fears, but also talk about where do we actually want to go, what is more the utopia that we want to go to.